Hi guys, this afternoon we're here on North 2nd Street, and I chose North 2nd Street this afternoon because there's a couple of buildings I really wanted to tell you about. One, we're here, I think this is number 10 North 2nd Street, and for those of you that don't know, years ago this is where the Fernandina Beach News Leader was printed. This was the news leader, and as kids we would come with our bicycles and we would line up on this sidewalk and we would wait on the paper to be printed so we could put it all in our bicycle baskets and hit the street so we could sell papers. So this building to me has a lot of historical significance. Let's let this truck get out of the way. Because of this is where a lot of our news, well, this is where all of our news came out of at that time. So if we move on down, today it's the Art Association. But this building right here, this was the tiny diner back in the, actually the 70s. And I have a photo of that we're gonna put up just to show you what the tiny diner looked like on the outside. The building itself hasn't changed much, but it was the tiny diner. Now the building across the street, which is 21 North 2nd Street. Now that has a lot of significant historical value to me because that used to be McJunkin bus line. And I actually have a photo I'm going to put up, you'll see it, of that building with a McJunkin bus in front of it. And then after that, there was a trucking company that went into there. And I guess today there's nothing in that building today, I guess, going on. But that was McJunkin bus line. And of course, over here, you've got the crab trap. And just a little quick story about the crab trap. Back in, I think it was 1967, I had a phone call from Smiley Lee, and I've got a photo of Smiley we're going to put up. Smiley was a local, oh gosh, Smiley was a local native character that everybody knew and loved. And he called me because he had purchased 2 steel lifeboats, and he wanted to know, was there any chance of turning these lifeboats into something, I forget exactly what he wanted to turn them into. So he told me, he said, they're down at the building on 2nd Street. Well, when I went to meet him to look at the boats, and you stepped down because there was no floor in the building, nor was there a 2nd story floor. It was just, you could see where the floor beams should go, but there was nothing there. I looked at the 2 boats that were sitting on the dirt, and we talked about them, and then he tried to sell me the building. And if memory serves me right, I think he wanted something like $38,000 for the building. And I told him how crazy he was because it didn't have a floor and it didn't have a 2nd story floor, and you know, just craziness. Of course, the big building on down, that was Standard Hardware. And I know as boat builders, that's where we bought all of our hardware for the boats. You could get all your caulking cotton and oakum and your bolts, and that's where the Burbanks made their nets, were right behind that. And Standard Hardware made doors for the nets, and that held the nets open as the boats drug them through the water. We're getting ready. We're going to leave here and we're going to go up to, actually it's 4th Street. Hi guys. All right, we're up here on South 4th Street, and we're actually at a Spania's restaurant. But I wanted to tell you just a little bit about this building. This was actually Pete Tiliakis. This was his shoe shop. Pete was a very unique person. He made orthopedic shoes for people who really had very bad deformed feet. And for some of you old timers, I don't know if you remember Professor Backwards. He used to come on the Ed Sullivan Show, and everything he did, he came out in a cap and gown. Everything he did backwards. And he was quite a comedian, and he had terrible feet, and Uncle Pete made his shoes for him. Also, I don't know if if a guy by the name of Duncan Ronaldo rings a bell or not, but Duncan Ronaldo was the Cisco Kid back in the 50s and 60s. And his manager had real bad feet, and Uncle Pete made his shoes too. And I got to meet him, and also got to meet Duncan Ronaldo, the Cisco Kid, and got a lot of pictures of, signed by him. But anyway, it's just funny how, things move along and buildings change, but I think it's important to know what these buildings were back in the day. And so this was Pete Tiliakis' shoe shop. And then there was a break here, and then he built this building over here for my aunt, and it was a little hot dog hamburger shop, and actually the name of it was the Dog House. So let's move on down. This house belonged to Mr. Littrico, and Mr. Littrico was a pioneer in the shrimping business back in the day, and he also made the best grape wine every year. It was absolutely delicious. But Mr. Littrico lived here, and today it's a engineering building. An engineering company owns it. The bank building that you see there, which today is not I still call it the bank building. But there was back in the day when it was first built, there was an Army tank that they parked in the rear. And believe it or not, I have a photo of that Army tank, and I'm going to put it up on this episode. The over, of course, you see the new Irish pub over here. That it's new, but this was the back of the Ford Motor Company that we've already talked about, that was on Center Street. And this is where they would bring the cars in and out of here. And of course, we got the back of the old courthouse right here too. So this was a lot of miles I put, and the guys that I grew up with on our bicycles, we wore a lot of tires out right here in this neighborhood. So anyway, I hope this has brought back some memories for you, and I hope for some of you new guys, it's given you a little insight of what it was like, growing up here in Fernandina. And we got some interviews coming up, and so stay tuned, and we'll see you on the road. God bless.